Hello, I am the coordinator of the Finnish chapter of the Zeitgeist movement, or TZM for short. This video will deal with ethics and the Zeitgeist movement. In particular, it will answer some concerns raised by the YouTuber A Privileged Vegan in her video titled, "What do I think about a resource-based economy and TZM?" You can see the link for that in the description. So the claims that underlie the criticism were divided into three groups: concerns with science, concerns with ethics, and concerns with the train of thought. And this video deals with the second part. You can see the link in the description for the other parts. I tried to find the core assumptions behind the concerns to get to the root of the issues. You will see that those are numbered and written in bold. Some of them might not exactly reflect the details in the original video, but this is only to add more depth to the answers. Before we begin, I'll stop for a moment so you can pause the video to read these claims regarding ethics and the Zeitgeist movement. Here is the first part. And here is the all right, all done. Good. First concern dealing with ethics and the Zeitgeist movement. Science isn't objective and can't give ethical guidance, which generates a need for laws and hence politics. No, but it is the closest thing we have to being objective, and it can be used to solve technical problems such as providing clean water and nutritious food for all the world's people, restoring the environment and adapting to a growing demand for resources with increased efficiency practices that can be tested virtually using technology derived from scientific principles. So I acknowledge as well that this also works the other way around, by the way. Sometimes science is left to explain new tech, but even then the scientific train of thought has been utilized. As you can see by looking at the link in the description for a picture about babies, even babies understanding the scientific method. So the sustainability practices that are inherent to TZM train of thought and the lack of incentive in a natural law resource-based economy model, or NLRBE, towards harmful behavior already cancel out many of the situations where ethics are needed. But do we need other ethical guidance besides those? And can science give ethical guidance or not? Sam Harris has actually stated that it is an illusion to think that science could not. After all, values are a certain kind of fact about the well-being of conscious creatures. In short, he states that we care more about humans, less for other animals, less for other mammals, and less for insects than we feel, and we feel no ethical obligations towards rocks, because there exists a range of potential happiness and suffering that is in fact a factual claim which can be studied. And there are truths to be known about how human communities flourish, whether or not we understand these truths. And morality relates to these truths. Thus, there actually exists a scientific way to say that some things are wrong since they generate suffering, which is by the mere meaning of the term something that we think needs to be avoided. Once again, this is a philosophical argument with a million sides, and we do not claim to have the perfect answer. What we do know is that suffering needs to be avoided as much as possible, and technical or scientific solutions can help in this more than anything. Even science has ethical councils and rules, some enforced by laws, some by the publishing process itself, and many things are guided by unwritten rules and what is respected by the community. It may be that similar ethical guides need to be agreed upon by the world's people to ensure that the resource-based economy serves everybody and so that it works with minimum conflict. I don't really know. I'm not an expert on this field, on ethics or philosophy. So instead of believing my word, I encourage you all to do your own research and learn to understand the resource-based economy and see if you can find a better solution with other movement supporters. Maybe even the solution already exists and I just haven't come upon it. After all, this system that the TZM suggests is so much better in every way than the current social system that is definitely worth looking into. Politics wouldn't necessarily follow from ethical principles, however, even if they were written down, since there is no scientifically justifiable reason to punish people, which is more often than not the thing that is implied to happen if the laws are not followed. And there is no need for laws that mandate a reward for those who have done something right, so to say. Punishing or rewarding don't really remove the factors that incentivize people to act in certain ways. And that's really important. The root cause, the problem stays, even if the effects are countered. In a natural law resource-based economy, we would study what led to the situation and work to change the conditions that created the unwanted results. So problems in a natural law resource-based economy will be solved, not punished. And there is no monetary incentive to cut corners in ethics, which would no doubt diminish these problems from the start. The second concern. Because science has been a part of terrible choices in the past, similar dangerous decisions are unavoidable in the future, and science alone can't be said to be neutral. It is true that science has made mistakes, and it has been used for purposes which, in hindsight, were not acceptable. It has to be understood, however, that science reflects the culture of its times in which it is practiced in many ways. Scientists are just people and they operate with the best knowledge available. The thing is that science keeps learning and doesn't repeat the same mistakes. Another problem is the fact that money has been used to influence or buy scientists to produce, for example, studies that deny climate change or detrimental health effects of tobacco or lead in gasoline. And this is a problem of the society which creates the incentive or the self-interest for unwanted behavior. Not so much a problem of science. So science isn't completely objective, neutral, or perfect. It has its flaws, but no one can deny that it is still the best available method for solving problems and achieving the closest approximation of reality we can have. There is nothing that could work better. That's why we have sent robots to interstellar space and cured horrible diseases and raised the standard of living and created the internet, to name a few awesome things. Soon, it's going to give us practically unlimited renewable energy and automation, even with the hindering effects of the current economic order that will dismantle. And this renewable energy and automation will dismantle the traditional work for a living paradigm. So the third concern, a society based on science will create a uniform population which can't have diversity. Now this is a weird assumption, which I think originates probably from Hollywood. I do not know why they got the idea though. It is true, as he said, as a privileged vegan said in the video, that we're all social beings and have unique needs and wants, particularities, histories, and biases. And it is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous idea that these should or could be gotten rid of. The question is why? Isn't that something that we value? Then trying to remove it would be a completely doomed, socially unsustainable practice. And science doesn't say anything about removing individuality. It does mean that all opinions are evaluated based on their reasoning and evidence. So in that way, one needs to be able to think in a sane way if one wants to contribute to the technical solutions. So pseudoscientific or religious ideas will not be fought. The evidence-based thinking will be encouraged by the education, just as it is today, with fluctuating rates of success. But there will be no incentive to be, quote, equalized under this new system. In fact, the abundance that we can create in a natural law resource-based economy would make possible unseen diversity and creativity in self-expression. 4. How does the TZM train of thought and sustainability worldview deal with or justify animal rights, and how, for example, transgender people and disabled people are dealt with under this new system? So this concern has built into it the assumption that there will be someone, quote, dealing with people. People create the natural law resource-based economy together. It's a global collective project with the common goals of sustainability, peace, and abundance. It is clear that from this standpoint, it makes perfect sense that people design things that help them in the ways that they want, as long as it's not harming others, nature, and as long as there are enough resources. So these things will be calculated with computers and fluctuating interdisciplinary research teams, which are formed by the local population and which have a connection to the whole network, which has all the previous examples and data available for use. Think of it like this. It's like what we have now, but without the prejudiced worldviews that originate from an inadequate education, without the pressures caused by the lack and unequal distribution of money, without the politics that are based on opinions and not on facts that relate to human well-being, and without the culture of self-interest, aggression, competition, and social Darwinism. Think of where we could be. All past oppression that has been preserved in our culture due to the same reasons mentioned above would be demolished by the mere application of this new system. There is no need to save money, and the RBE train of thought and sustainability practices mean that everybody will be taken care of, and resources will be utilized according to people's individual needs. There would probably be huge advances in medicine when money and markets were not a hindering factor. So many disabled people could receive help if they so desired. And in conclusion, a useful thing to keep in mind is to remember to ask questions instead of making assumptions. Be curious and question everything, and this includes the answers that you heard in this video. Sorry, please check out the links in the description for links and materials that give you more information about these topics. And thanks for watching.